Bangladesh became an independent country in December 1971 after a 9-month-long bloody liberation war. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the leader of the people of Bangladesh during the liberation war, was arrested by the Pakistani forces on 26 March 1971 and he remained a prisoner until the end of the war and liberation of Bangladesh. During the liberation war, an interim government was formed. Tajuddin Ahmad was the prime minister, Syed Nazrul Islam was the acting president, and General M.A.G. Osmani was the commander-in-chief of the liberation forces of Bangladesh. After independence, Sheikh Mujib returned to Bangladesh on 10 January 1972 and a democratic constitution of Bangladesh was proclaimed on 16 December 1972. It was a parliamentary system of democracy and elections were held in 1973. Also, in 1973, anti-government protests started under Jatiyo Samajtantrik Dol or JSD. On occasion, their movement became an armed movement. To suppress this movement by the JSD, Jatiyo Rakhi Bahini, a paramilitary force, was formed. It consisted of some 30,000 members. They were well paid, well dressed, and it was widely believed by the army that they had higher budgets than the military itself. And this created discontent among the members of the armed forces of Bangladesh. At the onset, Bangladesh adopted a socialist economy and nationalized all industries. This, among others, caused famine in 1974, and according to some reports, up to 1.5 million people died during the famine. The situation was not very promising economically, and there was political instability due to the formation of the Rakhi Bahini and the movement by JSD. On 25 January 1975, Bangladesh Constitution was amended to establish one-party presidential form of government. This was based on the model of North Korea. On 24 February 1975, Bangladesh Krishak Shramik Awami League or Bakshal was formed. When the constitution was amended to form one-party rule on 25 January 1975, General M.A.G. Osmani, the commander-in-chief of the liberation forces, resigned his position as a member of parliament in protest, and so did Barrister Moinul Hussain. After the formation of Bakshal, there was widespread discontent, especially amongst the armed forces, and there was also disappointment among the general population. JSD, under the leadership of Colonel Taher, started forming revolutionary cells or Biplobi Shoinik Sangstha cells within the army. There was also an incident where one Major Dalim and his wife were harassed by the son of one of the closed associates of Sheikh Mujib. This led to discontent among some military officers who were close friends of Major Dalim. On 15 August 1975, in the early hours of the morning, Sheikh Mujib and his family was killed during a military coup organized by some 12 active service and retired military officers and 2 battalions of soldiers. This was a tragic incident. However, as the one-party rule had created widespread discontent amongst these people, there were no protests by the general population. Rather, people were relieved that one-party rule was gone and a new opportunity was created for return to democracy. However, the process of return to democracy was disrupted in 1983 when General Ershad conducted a military coup and established a military autocracy that lasted until 1990. In 1990, General Ershad was removed from power during a mass movement. After the mass movement of 1990, there were elections in 1991 under a caretaker government, and in that election, BNP or Bangladesh Nationalist Party came to power. Towards the end of the tenure of Bangladesh Nationalist Party or BNP, there were widespread protest due to rigged by-election known as Magura by-election. And this led to a movement for establishment of a caretaker government during the period of election. Caretaker government was formed in 1996. During the election under the caretaker government, Awami League came to power. The Awami League government continued in power for 5 years, and during the election of 2001, Bangladesh Nationalist Party again returned to power. However, towards the end of the 5-year term of BNP, when the time came for the formation of a caretaker government for the election, there were widespread protests due to the selection of the head of the caretaker government, and eventually in January 2007, which is known as 111, a state of emergency was declared and a caretaker government was formed under military control. This caretaker government remained in power for 2 years, and in January 2009, an election was held where Awami League came to power. In 2011, the Awami League government, through a controversial court order, abolished the caretaker government system. As a consequence, the subsequent elections of 2014, 2018, and 2024 were highly controversial and non-participatory. Through such elections, Awami League remained in power for almost 16 years. There were protests by the opposition parties during the rule of the Awami League government, but those protests were successfully suppressed by the Awami League government. This year, July 2024, there started a movement by the students against the quota system in government job. This movement had widespread support amongst the students because the quota system took away 56% of government jobs, and the students felt deprived of the opportunity of getting into lucrative government jobs. The government tried to suppress this movement with force, as they had done with the previous protests by the political opposition. However, the use of force against the student protesters led to the killing of hundreds of students, and eventually the student protest turned into a mass movement with the demand for the ouster of the Awami League government. This movement was successful, and on 5th August, the Awami League government collapsed and the Prime Minister fled to India. Due to the end of the rule of the Awami League government, there is widespread jubilation in Bangladesh. People are hopeful for a return to democracy and prosperity of the country. Let's look at the loss of life during the uprisings against one-party rule in the history of Bangladesh. In 1975, it was a military coup against the one-party system that led to the killing of 36 people. 48 people were injured during the coup. However, the events were limited mostly in Dhaka. It was a military coup that had very limited participation of the general population but enjoyed widespread popular support. To the contrary, in 2024, it was a student movement that turned into a popular uprising, and this, however, caused much higher casualties. According to the United Nations, 650 people were killed, thousands of people were injured, hundreds of people lost their vision due to injuries to their eyes, and 64 children were also killed by the government forces. We remember that Unfortunately, in 1975, 10-year-old Sheikh Russell, the youngest son of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was killed, which was a very tragic event. And people remember this tragic event with sorrow. We should also give equal value to the life of these 64 innocent children who lost their lives during the popular uprising of 2024 and remember them so that we never go back to the autocratic rule and the people of Bangladesh do not have to continue to give their blood to restore democracy after a cycle of autocratic rules. In the history of Bangladesh of 52 years, there have been 3 occasions. In 1975, through the formation of Bakshal, 1983, the military autocracy of General Ershad, and again in 2011 by the abolition through the 15th Amendment of the Constitution of the caretaker government system, an undeclared one-party rule was established. The people of Bangladesh cannot continue to give their blood again and again to restore democracy, and what we need is a new democratic constitution that ensures that never again the country can return to autocracy. I have uploaded a video on this topic of how we can have a new constitution and a bicameral parliamentary system, an elected prime minister through universal suffrage, and make sure that no autocratic rule can return to this country. I have uploaded a link to this video in the description box, and I hope you will see the video. Thank you for listening. May Allah protect us all and bless us all. Assalamu alaikum.